So Micah Parsons, we know he's a talented player. That's not even a debate, right?
No,
he ain't Lawrence Taylor though. Can we get off of that?
We got to get off. There's like a handful of people in life we should never say somebody's like.
Too, right?
We did see it. LT still looked like, pre-butt cheeks out Mike Tyson. You still were like, man, I don't want no smoke with Mike.
No more pictures of Tyson's big booty.
You know how before that
his booty that big?
No, it was. I mean, I ain't been walking around judging man's.
I'm just saying, I didn't know it was that big.
It just, did you want to see it again?
No,
I'm okay. I'm Men in Blacked it. I hit the laser in my eye. I don't want to ever remember that again. But my point is,
I'm trying to see
more booty shots.
I'm trying to see the Robert Kraft video. That's what I want to see.
I'd watch that with you.
You do want to see that. And Rob G, unfortunately, I think is with you too. Yep.
You want to see it too?
People.
It's just me and Steve.
What?
Old people doing stuff. This is just the next iteration of that.
I want to see
that.
it.
Yeah.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? Don't nobody want to see that? There's nothing to. Well, Rob G can't wait. All right, Rob G. I am the Oracle. And in my left hand, I have the video. In my right hand, I have all the Ozempic you would ever need.
Oh,
look at you.
I'm taking the Ozempic. That's easy.
Okay.
That's easy.
Because how'd you get the bootleg of the Robert Kraft later?
Right. The one that I got for swapping out cheesecake.
Right. The one that's on VHS still because it's not like really high def.
In the little squiggly lines, but you can still see it. My whole point simply was, though, that LT still looked like he would lay somebody out.
What's crazy is I told you, I covered LT in New York.
Yeah.
And I know he's played a long time ago, but I covered the Giants that year they went to the Super Bowl in New York. I was a young reporter, and it's just funny to see him. I didn't get a chance to say hello to him.
I mean, listen, we know the life he was leading.
He got some bad stories.
Yeah, it got a little wild for him. So he looked good, and he looked, healthy. Obviously, I don't know what he's doing, but he looked healthy. It was good to see.
No doubt. All right, so Micah Parsons, the Cowboys apparently, Rob G, come in with the news of the day because, right, there's a report in The Athletic, correct?
So there was a report in the NFL Network over the weekend.
Okay.
Where they were talking about, Micah Parsons is the next guy to get paid. Everyone knows that. We've talked about it for 2 years now. So the NFL Network said, yes, their plan is still to make him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. But there are, quote, internal discussions to be had about his future with the team, which for code word means either we're going to make him the highest paid defender ever or we're going to trade him for a king's ransom. And we got to decide which we're going to do at some point in the next few weeks. So that obviously set off some firestorms. CeeDee Lamb started to comment on it. It was a big thing up until the Super Bowl took place.
Right.
So last night, Micah Parsons is doing a live version of his podcast.
Oh, he just has to do a podcast.
Which is now it now airs on Max, so he's really stepped it up and what?
Yeah, but he also said that wasn't he a part of that stop Saquon Barkley he was on that. He was on that.
He was.
Right?
Oh, he's got a lot. When he gets done, we got some more to bring up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So last night his guest was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, of course, had a phenomenal year with Baltimore.
I'm sure he didn't talk about that, though, about his game plan for the Super Bowl.
No, I didn't watch the whole podcast. But
I never miss his podcast.
I never miss it.
If there's a podcast I know you missed, this is one.
So he's talking to Derrick Henry, and one of the crowd, the audience members, says what everybody's thinking. Hey, man, don't you wish that Derrick Henry had joined you with the Cowboys? Here's what Mike had to say about it.
Jerry got my number blocked. I couldn't even get it. I couldn't even call Jerry. Jerry got my number blocked.
Are you upset that Derrick Henry didn't come to Dallas? I said, nah, that's not how God worked. He was exactly where he was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Year 8, 9 of his career, still going for 1,800 yards, playoffs. He was exactly where he's supposed to be. I'm happy that didn't get ruined by us.
It was all good until that last sentence, Rob.
Well, I'll say this. If I'm the Cowboys, okay, I've had enough. This is what he'd rather put his time and energy. Every time he says something, he's ripping on the organization, ripping on Dak Prescott. Like enough. Does he not understand? Like you don't have to say everything out loud. You have to have some diplomacy. You got to understand who's paying your paycheck. I don't understand guys who think that they're bulletproof and they can just say and do whatever. He's so unfiltered that it's ridiculous. And if I'm the Cowboys, you could get a king's ransom for him. You're not winning anything now. I'm sorry. Who'd they just hire? Some guy from Schottenheimer's kid, right? Yeah. Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it was like who wants to be a coach in there? Yeah,
who was on nobody's wish list as a head coach in the NFL because they got him cheap, and
Yep.
Jerry can still
knows
coach the team.
I can be the big dog. He'll listen to me, do everything I say. Yep.
And Micah will get you some stuff. You don't have to go. You already paid CeeDee Lamb. You already paid Dak Prescott. Now you're going to pay him too? Like where does this stop? Like, go reestablish yourself. Their defense last year, what'd they give up? 40 or more points in the first 4 or 5 games at home last year?
Mm-hmm.
Not counting the playoff game, they got blown out against the Packers.
Yeah.
That was the
year
previous,
before.
right?
Yep.
I mean, I'm cool with it. I would be willing to make a move, get some top picks for him. He will fetch you a haul. There's no doubt in my mind.
I think Micah Parsons keeps shooting himself in the foot with this podcast. And the problem is, let's just go down the line, Rob. Hey, man, simple question. Top 10 quarterbacks. Everybody but Dak doesn't name Dak. You're a starting quarterback, the person who's the leader, the person who has the ball in his hands.
He didn't say,
every
I'm
offensive
not
play.
including Dak.
He didn't start off by saying, hey, you mean, obviously, Dak is in the top. That's my guy, so I'll give you another 10, and my guy is in there. That's like, literally, you're like obligated to say that just off being a great teammate. Then he's ruining his own deal. Remember what he said? Oh, I just want to end my career. I just want to be here. I don't even care if I got to take a haircut and take less money. Shut up. Let me agent. Let me be your agent. Can I get my Jerry Maguire on, please?
Right. And don't cut into my 10%.
Don't cut into my 10%. Don't cut it when I'm trying to get you.
I don't even think they get 10, but you know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's 3 at that level. But yeah, let me do this for you. It's literally why you pay me, so I can do this. So I don't even care if I get less money. I just want to say, shh, stop it. Then, remember they talked about Mike McCarthy. He's like, I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for him. You know, I feel bad for the players who've been here all these years and haven't won a okay. But again, that could have turned around and been your coach again another 2-3 years.
But it was disrespectful for a guy who won a Super Bowl and to just act like he was nothing.
And giving his all to you, coaching and all of that.
And the Cowboys had won 12 games or more 3 straight years. I mean,
so it's just, and again, you kind of get his point with some of the things. It's just I would rather you not. And the worst part about it is what Rob G just said. Rob G just told us, he's got to deal with Max now for his podcast. So what happens is, Rob, he's being reinforced. So instead of getting in trouble, instead of being like, man, let me learn my lesson, let me grow, let me lock in, it's time to lock back in on football, he's actually being reinforced and saying, man, I'm doing great work so much so that I got a big outlet to throw me a bag. So why is he going to listen to Kelvin? Why is he going to listen to Rob and stop when I'm getting more money? So it's, again, man, it's certain things you just don't have to. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And I'll say this. This ain't for athletes, shut up and dribble or shut up and play ball or whatever. But if I was a team owner, I want you to be committed to me for those 4 months. I don't want the distraction. I don't want you talking about other teams. I don't want you glad-handing our opponents, talking about how great. I don't.
It's weird. Even Draymond, it's just weird. Like, dude, you're
very
playing
weird
right now.
You remember Draymond during the finals? Wasn't it right, Rob G, during the finals?
I know Steve Kerr
He's rushing back home.
Was trying to lose his mind.
Yeah, like you can't stop that. Like, you're paying him. I'm sorry. Hey, Draymond, no, we're not doing this. Hey, Micah, on your own time, off season, knock yourself out. During business hours, football season, training camp through the Super Bowl, we are not interested in you having a podcast or talking to other players or propping up other players or talking down to our players, our organization.
Yeah, it's just
we won't have it. We won't have it.
Yeah, the reward isn't there. And to your point, you can do it seasonally, meaning season 1, it starts February, in this case, 10th, meaning, Super Bowl's over, here we go. And you do your thing.
You work for Spectrum. Could you come on here and tell us how bad Spectrum News is?
No, they ask me your favorite networks. I don't mention them or diss them or I don't care about my boss. I don't even care about hey, player. What are we doing here?
100%.
And if you're unhappy and everything, we can work something out where you move on.
No doubt.
So I think he's a good kid, young man. I think he's obviously very talented. But at the end of the day, it's just not necessary. And I almost feel like I wish he had, whether it's Coach Prime or it's somebody's own personal life, his dad or I don't know, uncle, old college coach, somebody to just say, hey, man, you're so good. Your team is trying to improve and trying to get to that next level. Let's just lock in and focus. Because I'm not saying that he's not working out. I'm not saying he's not hitting the weights. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. It's just not necessary. Because now, again, maybe Dak felt some type of way that another star player in his team, didn't even mention me. And now it's little, and you've covered these leagues since 86 and 87. little small things can get in there and get weird, and you ain't mentioned me, and then little frictions, and it's just not necessary.
Who was the player, Rob G? Do you remember? Remember there was a player who pushed back on him about the podcast.
One of his own teammates?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
There was a player who said something about, remember, because the defense was so bad, something about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember, it was something about, and then even in those things where he's talking about Malik Hooker, right?
Yeah.
Pushed back on him about the defense being bad and him doing podcasts.
Yep.
And I'm not, would you be mad? I'm not mad at Malik Hooker because he's saying, what is this?
It's just not necessary. And it's not one of the just because you can, meaning, hey, you have the right to, we didn't put this in your contract, you're allowed to do what you want, doesn't mean you have to. You know what I mean? That's the biggest, just lock in. And because it's just added unnecessary little moments where me as the PR person, me as the coach, me as the star quarterback, me as the owner, Jerry Jones, I got to keep going. Well, we heard him say this. What did he mean by that? Well, I don't really know what Micah was saying. I don't really listen to podcast. I didn't get a chance to hear. Hey, Micah said you're not a what do you say about that? Oh, I do. Micah said your defense right now is struggling. You should just, right now, I don't want to have to do that all the time.